Sharon, you've been the RNC secretary now for a year. Can you tell us if the RNC is going to be focusing on any particular races? Are they going to be getting more involved in Florida and around the country? The reason why I ask is because we've gotten a lot of flack now past several years about the RNC not getting so much involved in supporting candidates. Can you shed a little bit of light on that?
Well, the RNC is actively involved in the various races, as we saw in the Scott Brown, the Virginia race that we saw with the governor's races, and also the New Jersey races. So I think that we have a chairman that has gotten very active and involved in the races around the country. So I think we will, absolutely.
Do you think they'll get directly involved with the U.S. Senate race here in Florida and or some of the congressional races like District 22, Alan West is running in, or even District 24 where Tom Garcia is running in?
Well, I think that'll be after the primaries. They're not going to get involved before the primaries. But hopefully, though, I actually had the opportunity to go work in Virginia before the governor's race up there. And I'm going to tell you, they had a team on the ground and an organization that was unbelievable. And I think we're going to see those same things across the states in the various races. And I think we will absolutely have the help we need down here in Florida.
Now, I want to ask you about the recent debacle of the Republican Party of Florida. We just had elections to replace the disgraced Chairman Jim Greer. Can you shed a little bit of light on what transpired there and what caused this special election to occur?
Well, I think the biggest problem we had was an excessive amount of spending. In fact, spent the entire funds that the party had raised for the last 3 years. And so I think the major donors, as people were made aware of it, the major donors got involved in it, basically said there'll be no more money for the candidates or for the party until Jim Greer was resigned or removed. And once that came up, in effect, it didn't have much of a choice. So I think Jim Greer resigned at that point, knowing he didn't have the support of the financial backers of the party, nor did the candidates, and so he resigned from that point, and we're now in a rebuilding mode.
Now, do you think it's going to affect the governor's race, and how do you see that race here in Florida? Obviously, Bill McCollum, the Attorney General, is the front runner, so to speak. There's Paula Dockery, and again, on the D side, we have Alex Sink. Do you think, how do you feel that race is going? How do you see that race?
Well, again, we have a primary situation going on in the state with Paula Dockery, on the Republican side, with Paula Dockery and Bill McCollum. And then on the Democrat side with Alex Sink. At this point, I don't guess there is a primary there. But we'll have an active primary, and candidates will come out, I think, a better situation at the end because they would have had to reach out to voters. So I think it actually helps the voters in having an opportunity to have the candidates reach out to them. So at the end of the day, there will be a Republican candidate, there will be a Democrat candidate, and I think we'll be very successful with our candidate in the 2010 elections.
Now, you pretty much coined the phrase during these proceedings at the RPOF as you called for a forensic audit, full transparency. From what I understand is they are conducting a forensic audit, and do you think after the forensic audit, should they release these records, should they release these credit card statements in lieu of the fact that Marco Rubio's statements were leaked?
Well, I think at the end of the day, you have to look at it and see what we have in there. Hopefully, we get to the bottom of it. As you're aware and as you stated, when I was running, I had asked for full transparency, honesty, openness, and a forensic audit, and that was the tools that I had talked about and thought was important for us to get back on our feet. Whether we release the American Express bills, I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know when you look at that decision, was it wrong for Marco Rubio's to be released and no one else's? Yes, I think it was. Tremendously wrong. But I think Jim Greer said in a private meeting with all of us in Howey in the Hills that he would be nice to the Republican Party as long as it was nice to him. When it was no longer nice to him, he would not be nice to it. And that if he was going down, we'd all go down. So I think that's what you saw with the Marco Rubio, maybe being the first shoe that drops. But he does have the records, and he has stated that, you know, he's going to do, I guess, whatever he's going to do forward. But I think it was appropriate, no. Not for one and not the others, but I think at the end of the day, that's the chairman's call. I may have handled it the same, may have handled it differently, but hopefully the forensic audit comes out. I've asked and been told that if there are criminal charges or criminal actions. There will be criminal charges. I also think that we should 1099 some of these expenses that Delmar and Jim Greer
Right.
did, so that they have tax consequences.
Well, obviously, Jim Greer was one of Charlie Friend's dearest friends and closest supporters. Do you think this could affect Charlie Crist in his senatorial race?
No, I think they're two different situations. You put somebody in a place of trust, and I think that's what Charlie Crist did. Governor Crist did with Jim Greer, put him in a place of trust, and he did not live up to that trust, and had a different opinion of what party building is about and what party business is about. And I think I used our hard-earned dollars, our donor dollars, for his own personal use, and I think that's the unfortunate thing.
Now, you've stated before, real quick, that you were going to stay out of the Senate race between Marco Rubio and Charlie Crist. Are you leaning towards any direction?
I'm leaning towards two primary candidates.
And
And then I will have a candidate, and no one will work harder than I will for my who comes out of that primary will have my heart and all my efforts.
I forgot to throw in the Kendrick Meek in there.
I don't think so.
No? Sharon, thanks.
Kendrick Meeks is off limits for me.
Sharon, thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Thank you. Have a good day.